James.
I'm Robin.
We're part of Maybeshewill at Damnation Festival.
For rockflesh.com.
Here we are again at Damnation Festival. I'm Stuart Lucas from rockflesh.com and I'm basically here with Maybeshewill. Thank you for joining us, especially because we've got the amazing Junior Christmas literally in the background, where I think all of us would prefer to be. They're basically stood here. Loads of things I want to ask you. I think the first thing to say, how was it living with the moniker of Gavin's favourite band, basically?
It's an honour, isn't it?
Yeah, it is an honour, he's always just had a nice little soft spot for us, and we definitely appreciate that. It's just nice to have those connections with promoters and organisers, and he's a lovely man, so how can you not, how can you not accept that warm embrace that he gives off?
And warm embrace to the point that he's made you headliners.
No, he was like twisting our arm for ages, like, come on, play Damnation, and we were, I don't know, it was on our minds, but I don't think we expected to play this year, maybe. But here we are, and headlining at stage, so.
And headlining, what's been really interesting, a lot of the talk on the forum has been that clash with Narcos. And actually really interesting, people going, I don't know who to choose between Maybeshewill. Well, I found quite bizarre because you operate almost in two different metal ecosystems, yet there seems to be quite a lot of crossover.
I mean, I haven't been on the forum, so I don't know, but
there is a lot of people, a lot of people, that's the clash of the festival. It's basically you and Narcos.
Cool, that's interesting. But hopefully,
blown you away with that.
Hopefully, equal amounts of people move at the same time, and so there's always a constant evolving crowd, and everyone gets to see a bit of everything. I think that would be the case. There'll be enough people.
I quite like the idea of just literally the crowd becomes one and just moves between that across that little tunnel.
Everyone gets to see and just spends a little time. Just depends where they are in the set as to how much they get in the, excited.
So this is your first Damnation since you got back together. Tell me about the split. Was it a sort of that's it, never want to talk to each other again, or was it like let's take a little bit of time and?
It was definitely the latter. We just got to a point where we've been touring like really heavily for our record Fair Youth, and it just got to a point where we were kind of a bit burnt out with stuff. Obviously, like touring is like an amazing thing to be able to do, but when you do it so intense, like sometimes it just gets to a point where you just need to have a bit of a break from it. And so at that point, we just felt that the right thing to do was to end things, to have like the final shows that we did, and that was that for a bit. Then we sort of had a bit of a weird interim period where nothing really happened, and then we got the call about the Meltdown show we did for Robert Smith. Obviously that was like a major thing that we couldn't really say no to.
Yeah, you can't say no. Some things in life you just have to be like, okay, let's do this.
Robert Smith's on the phone. It's like, no, we're sleeping.
I've got something planned that weekend. I'm alright. I've got a barbecue.
So obviously we said yes to that, and then that kind of just like sparked a bit of a fire. We sort of got to writing a few bits and pieces, sort of just shared ideas that were sent back and forward between a few members of the band, and then we kind of got to a point where we realised that we did have something that was like worth doing again, and that sort of blossomed into the album that we put out 2 years ago now. No Feeling Is Final.
So the pandemic must have sort of got in the way of that. It must be quite annoying to have reformed as a band and then the bloody pandemic happens.
Postponing the show.
Postponing the works.
And then even actually coming out of the pandemic, I think we were one of the small group of bands to go and start touring around Europe again. And like we're playing venues where people like, this is the first time I've been to a gig since, and it was like, I don't know, a bit kind of.
It was those first shows, I think I saw Massive Wagons and Wild Hearts, and there was a level of trepidation. You can see, like, I'm not going to go too near to
We were in
people.
this fear. I mean, it did happen. We were in this fear of like the tour's going to be cancelled, or like one of us is going to catch COVID, and that's exactly what happened.
Three of us got COVID, so we had to sack it off.
But just the build up to it, and like, are we doing the right thing? Oh, should we be doing this? We pushed back the London show. It wasn't the comeback that was planned.
Yeah.
But then there wasn't a comeback planned at all. That's just naturally how it happened.
But did you stay, during that downtime, did you stay in touch with each other, or was it like, no, we're just going to go and do our separate lives and then?
I think we'd never said to each other that we weren't going to, be in contact with each other, because when you've been touring so much and like your life has evolved around 4 other people that are doing the same thing as you do, you can't just detach yourself. And we were just always bumping into each other doing different things. Like Matt was on the road with different bands, and I'd always see him when he would be in Bristol, and similar sort of thing with John. There's never like a case of no, I'm not going to talk to him ever again. That's it, full stop, goodbye.
It was just really a sort of moment to make a bit of time for other things going on in our lives, because the band is such a big, like, well, it can be, the way we were doing it was such a big, like, hog of your time and your life. You can't really devote that sort of level of commitment to other things when you're doing a band the way we were doing it. So to have that sort of space to do other things, I don't know, it was really, for me personally, it was really beneficial. And like we are so close as friends that like we never would like fall out of touch with each other.
Things get stagnant. It's you hear it in relationships and normal, day-to-day things, and it's like things can get stagnant. And I think we reached a point where it's like we've done loads of stuff, nothing's jumping out saying we should do this next, we should do that next. So just having a big break and just be like, I'm going to put that book down and just leave it for a bit. And then personally, just having I didn't play drums for like quite a while, and then you come back to it and it's like you've evolved again and you've changed, you're playing a bit differently now. That's going to affect how the music's going to write as well. And it's important to have a break sometimes, It can be a big influence as well.
So do you find your attitude to the band is different now? Because you talked about doing it really intensely. Do you feel now, right? Actually, we're going to do this a bit differently. We're going to do a bit more kinder to ourselves.
So when we decided to do stuff again, we sort of decided that it was going to be more on our terms, in terms of like being more selective about the level of touring we do, the sorts of shows we do. It's just the intensity of how we sort of like give ourselves to the band. So I think we're in a pretty good place with it at the minute, where we're like totally in control of what we do in terms of releases and stuff, in terms of our touring schedules. So we just have to treat it a bit more like the ages that we are, because we're not in our 20s anymore, when it was a lot easier to do that stuff and just really give your all to it. So it feels like it's the right thing to be doing at the minute.
Yeah, and I think when you do have these opportunities to play like Damnation, because you don't get to do it all the time, actually I learned to appreciate it more, because it's like I'm going to go back to work next week and it's like a different world again. So when I'm like dipping in and out of this world, there's a better appreciation from my perspective as well.
And I think what's really interesting, I think our perspective as fans, I think we don't actually realise most bands in our genres have day jobs. There are very few Iron Maidens or Metallicas who can do this full time. And we were chatting to Boss yesterday, and they were saying this is a hobby. This is a hobby, and this is actually mates getting together and having fun, and then we go back to reality.
And that's what it feels like now in my eyes. Maybe sure, like previously it was pretty much full time, but it wasn't something that you could sustain and live off. You had to do it all the time, because it's still like, I don't know, you couldn't almost do the both. Whereas now, it's more of a hobby, and it's just I'm enjoying it more. There's certain bits I miss, but that's fine.
So what do they think about it at work? Is it like, we've got a rock star in our midst, or sort of?
It's a bit like that. I think in the summer when we played Brutal Assault, I left work on the Friday afternoon. We flew out that day, and then I was flew back on Sunday, back at work Monday, and it's like, oh, how was your weekend? It's like, oh, I went over to Czech Republic for a weekend. And like, what? Same again with AM Fest. That was a weekend show. And yeah, it's a bit strange in the office. Like, how's your weekend been? Like, yeah, I'm pretty tired, but did this. So
yeah, played to 30,000 Czechoslovakians.
Yeah. It's quite kind of. So it's cool. That's like you say, I have this massive appreciation for it now, which. Whereas before, those things would happen, and it'd be like, right, what we're doing next? What's happening next? Let's, you don't get much time to reflect. Whereas now, a lot of time.
What's coming across talking to both of you is almost there is a level of just really comfortable with it now. Actually, we're comfortable where we are. We have no, we're never going to be stadium big, but actually we like where we are. Never say never. Well, yeah, never say never. True.
But no, we're never going to be a stadium.
Yeah.
Like, never. I definitely feel more comfortable. I think it's because it sits better now with life. There's other things that I'm now enjoying as well, and everything goes hand in hand. If you're putting putting your eggs all into one basket, and it's really hard work, where's your time then to step away and realise actually you enjoy it. So.
But there's also, I think, the thing I love about your music is the fact that there is a level of euphoria in it. I always find, a lot of post-rock can sometimes be a bit dour, but actually your stuff is really happy, to be perfectly honest. Is that something you've always wanted to exhibit in the music?
I think it's something which has kind of naturally come through. I don't know if that speaks to us as people, that we're just naturally more to find the sort of joy in things, but
hopeful.
Yeah, I think generally, personally speaking, I'm an optimist. I have faith in people, I have faith in humanity. I want to see the best come from people, and so I guess that does sort of come across in the music that you want to make, because you want it to be a reflection of the world that you want to live in, and you want to celebrate the good things and make people realise that there is a lot to enjoy in life. Obviously, there's a lot of darkness. There are dark shades to the music, but on the whole, I guess it is sort of. It's just trying to tap into that feeling of, like you say, elation and joy and just happiness.
Yeah, your set at Arctangent sort of the year before that was one of the most joyous things I've ever seen, and you could just see the smiles. It was just a really, really nice hour.
It was I remember coming off stage with a massive grin on my face, but then speaking to friends that have seen us and known us for a long time, they were emotional as well. There's definitely a lot of emotion in the air for that set.
It definitely was. I saw people cry, but I also saw it was crying almost a happiness thing. It really was a nice. It sounds really placid, but it was a nice experience.
And it was nice to be back to play Arctangent because a couple of years ago I never thought we'd get the opportunity again. So it was great.
So what should we expect this evening?
Well,
spoilers,
we just sort of do
it's just what we do. Just what we do. We'll enjoy it. Hopefully nothing goes wrong, and we just do what we do and kick it out there, and hopefully everyone laps it up and has a good time.
Brilliant.
That's what every band wants to do, I think. There's nothing new, and there's nothing exciting or people are really oh my god. It's exciting for us. But I mean groundbreaking or oh shit, they've really changed their sound. No, it's going to sound like us, because how can it not? But,
So, if you basically got to do Maybeshewill Fest or Maybeshewill Stock, and we're here at Damnation, if you did your own festival, who would you have?
Wow,
that's quite a big question.
I think between us all we listen to quite a lot of varied music.
I think it'd be really hard to pick something, because we all just
I think it'd be good, but it'd be very such a broad range of stuff.
It'd be eclectic for sure. We kind of came together around a sort of shared set of bands, and we maybe all sort of spread out a little bit from that starting point. So there's a lot of shared interests, but then there's also a lot of people like their own things, and just discovering different things. We were just talking about this earlier, I don't know, we're always on the lookout for new music and stuff, and that sort of just naturally means that you're
on the way here. I was if you listen to this album, listen to this band, listen to this. It's I just enjoy sharing music and that sort of thing. So I think if we had our own festival, it'd be great. I'd love to do it. But
I find that weird. So I've got a friend at work who says, actually I'm done. Actually there is enough Duke Ellington stuff now to keep me happy. I don't need to find anything new, and I find that really weird.
Yeah, I do.
I just like the idea of just sort of getting stagnant with music. I think like the idea of progressing and finding new stuff and championing new artists. It's just
I
that
think
just feels
also
like the right thing to do.
imagine I'd have a fear that I'd be missing out on something that's actually really can really touch me, and if I'm being like ignorant to ignore that, then it's like, come on, I've got to embrace these other things that are out there.
And we were chatting to the guys from Undeath before, like name dropping again, and we were talking about the fact that there's bands with 15, 16-year-olds doing some really exciting stuff, which I find, people who are old enough to be my grandkids, but are doing really good stuff.
Videos of Domi and JD Beck, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
Just insane.
it is insane, just stuff like that, and my music taste has always evolved, but always evolving, and like listening to new stuff.
And that's what's wonderful about places like here, sort of you fall across. I discovered Sod Vista, sort of here at sort of in Damnation, and you just discover things.
That's just having promoters give people a chance as well, and like same with Gav, like putting us on all those years ago, and we played it 3 times, I think.
I think this is.
And I remember the first time in that like upstairs room at the back. It was really hot and sweaty, and it was like very intense changeover.
But it was really cool to be on a festival like this.
And I think even then we felt a bit like, mate, do we fit in here? I'm not sure. Like, but
clearly it works.
Someone's got faith in you, and it's.
Well, the fact, as I said, people are still, are still basically sort of having sort of angst about whether they see you or Rain on Archives, basically says that you fit. And on that, I'm going to bring it to close. I'm going to say thank you very much. It's been really fantastic speaking to both of you. I'm pumping for you this evening, so I'll be basically on the accessibility platform at the back watching you. Sort of, Narca can go and do their own thing, but I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you.
So much.
And you've been watching rockflesh.com. Basically, visit the website, and you'll basically find reviews where I'll be using lots of purposes about how wonderful Maybeshewill will be this evening. And catch soon. Subscribe, do all those bits and pieces. I've been Stuart Lucas. Thank you.